Sam Aldegheri's MLB debut was a bit of a disaster, but it largely wasn't even his fault. I'll tell you why as I break down another Angels loss on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. Hello, Postcast people. And welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, on Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, I'm Gavin Carlson. I spent the last 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, and of course, I am now a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and our team, the Angels. Oh boy, do they always find a way to frustrate you, man. The offense finally scores 5 runs. We never see it, and yet, of course, it comes in a game where the pitching staff really struggles. Of course, the story in this one, Sam Aldegheri making his MLB debut. If you don't know, this was one of the top prospects we acquired at the deadline in the Carlos Estevez to the Phillies trade, and really excited to see him, the number 8 prospect in the Angels farm system, coming into his call-up from AA into the majors, and boy, did it look ugly right away. Largely not his fault. He gave up 5 runs in the first inning, all 5 unearned, all 5 thanks to a really frustrating error from Zach Neto, and it makes me and it makes all of us wonder, what if Neto does not make that error? What if Sam Aldegheri has a scoreless first inning in his MLB debut? Are we talking about a gem? Are we talking about 6 scoreless innings or something? Are we talking about it still being as bad as it was, or maybe somewhere in between? We'll talk about it. But before we do, quick shout out to everybody in here. Appreciate the support so much. Pardon me with these, looks like I'm about to, tell an airplane how to land with these big cans on my head. The normal headphones not available tonight, so I'm wearing these old ones, and let's just say they're a bit large. So that's hilarious. Shout out to everybody in here. Bear with me. My voice is a little bit off. I'm kind of battling a little bit of a cold. It's been a crazy week for me. We'll get into that probably at the end. But let's jump into this one. Before we do, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Of course, we have to start with Sam Aldegheri. I didn't even mention the Angels lost 9-5 today. I don't know about you guys coming into this one. This was one of the first times in a while that I was actually excited coming into an Angels game. Oh, of course, we're on the road to not get to 100 losses. Of course, that road is looking harder and harder with every game we continue to lose. But Artie Moreno knows what he's doing here. Oh, we're going to call up our young pitchers, Aldegheri today. I'm blanking on the name, Caden Dana on Sunday, getting us Angels fans excited when there isn't really much to be excited about, but it worked. I was excited coming into this game, really wanted to see what the young kid, I know he's making history, first Italian born player to make it in the majors. That's obviously cool. And above all else, I'm excited. This guy has a lot of promise. But boy, it just hit us like a truck. He gives up 5 runs in the first inning. And let's be honest, of course, the story of this inning, in this 5-run inning, in this game really, is the Zach Neto error. If you somehow were not following this game, Zach Neto gave up a really costly error with 2 outs, runners on, for Jorge Polanco. He lines one right at Zach Neto at shortstop. Zach Neto had to leap like a foot off the ground. We've seen him make way tougher plays, and it just goes completely off his glove. He looked away for a second. He almost looked like he wanted to look a little too cool making the catch, and he looked away, and he just completely biffed the ball. Second and third when the ball was hit. So 2-run score on what should be a line out for out number 3. Now, let's be honest. This was not a good pitch. And the rest of the inning was really all on Aldegheri, right? It's not like he was great and got, screwed by his teammates. he wasn't great. The second at-bat of his career, he walks Julio Rodriguez on 5 pitches, none of them close other than the 1 strike. Then with 2 outs and a runner on first, he throws a slider kind of right down the middle to Randy Arozarena, who rips it to left center field. Really wasn't a double, to be honest. Mickey Moniak, he kind of hot dogged it in the outfield, took way too long. Probably should have just been a single. Instead, Arozarena is able to sneak into second, also used a great slide. But the main thing is this pitch that did end up being an error on Zach Neto, it was not a good pitch. A 1-1 fastball right down the middle, hit 97 miles an hour off the bat. The ball was ripped. And if it's anywhere else, it's just a base hit. If it's down the line, it's a double or a triple. Because it's right at Zach Neto, sure, it should have been an out. And, you know, at the end of the day, this guy's making his debut. He got it to 2 outs, and he got what should have been out 3. Zach Neto makes the mistake, 2-run score, and you know me, I'm Mr. I want to see resilience. But not from a guy making his MLB debut. I want things to be as easy on him as possible. And boy, did Zach Neto do the complete opposite. But boy, did Aldegheri show the exact opposite of resilience early on. That's why on the right here I say chaotic and resilient. Boy, was it chaotic at first. Because right after that, sure, there's a need to be upset. Sure, you're already as nervous as could be. And that mistake from probably your best fielder does not help. But the very next pitch is a curveball that he completely loses any sort of control on and drills Justin Turner. And you're thinking, oh, geez, how costly was that Neto error? You know, hopefully it just is a 2-run error and Aldegheri is able to get out of it. But boy, was it not that. Hits Justin Turner on the very next pitch, and then 3 pitches later hits Dylan Moore. And the main thing here is, on the radio broadcast, they're saying, oh, he can't control the curveball, he can't control the curveball. Sure, on that Justin Turner hit by pitch, and maybe it would have been easy to say, oh, young guy doesn't have his curveball today. But no, he hits the next guy, Dylan Moore, on a 1-1 fastball. So it's like, okay, this isn't a one pitch he isn't able to control type of thing. This is a mentally and physically, he's kind of lost it already after one mistake from a fielder. And so sure, it's really on Zach Neto. And yes, when you're making your debut, you're already nervous and you really need a lot of help. And this isn't even getting help. This is just a guy doing his job, of course. But you could have responded. If he gave up a couple base hits, that's one thing. He hit the next 2 guys. And then Mitch Garver, the next guy with the bases loaded, there's still a chance to get out of this and only allow 2 runs. But then he gives up another hard hit ball. Sure, is it unlucky that it's a ball down the left field line? Yes, but it's also hit 107 off the bat. It's also a guy who at this point, yes, can't locate any of his off-speed stuff, throws a fastball outside for a ball, then comes in with the fastball, and unsurprisingly, like they're saying in the broadcast, the Mariners are the worst hitting team in baseball, but they're still major league hitters. And if they know you've lost it mentally, if they know you can't throw an off-speed pitch right now, if they know that you're making your debut, you're already extra nervous, and Zach Neto has screwed you over already, they're going to feast. So surely enough, you throw a fastball outside for a ball, you throw another fastball, back-to-back fastballs, this one in the zone. Not surprised that Garver hits it 107 exit velo off the bat, scores 2 more, and it's 4-0. But still, there's more. Oh, there's a chance, even if it's 4-0, all earned runs, hopefully you can get out of the inning. Maybe you can turn the start around, still maybe somehow have a quality start. No. Victor Robles, once again, a slider is hung right down the middle, should have been ripped, and then a fastball that's not in the zone, but at this point, they're waiting for your fastball, and so Victor Robles lines one into center field on what wasn't a bad pitch, but it's a bad inning. It's a bad inning where you can't locate your off speed, where you've lost it mentally, and where you give up 5 runs, and he still then walks J.P. Crawford. Thank goodness Julio Rodriguez gets called on strikes, and it was rough for so many reasons. I will say this before we take a break. Not only does he not get help from Neto, not only does he have Victor Robles hit a not that bad pitch, but he also wasn't getting many calls from the umpire. This is a hitter-friendly umpire. I forget his name, and the umpire was missing a couple calls, balls on the corner, but also it doesn't help when you've hit 2 guys in the first inning. It doesn't help when you're throwing pitches all over the place. That's the oldest rule in the book. An umpire is not going to give you a call if you're throwing it all over the place. And he was throwing it all over the place, so I'm not surprised he wasn't getting calls, and I'm not surprised that he lost his cool when his best fielder, Zach Neto, does not get the job done. in the field. Really costly error just because we'll never know. We'll never know how Aldegeri's start would have gone if the first inning is the hardest thing when you're making your debut, right, as a pitcher. And so we'll never know. If he goes scoreless first inning, if Zach Neto catches that ball, we could be talking about 5 scoreless innings, really encouraging debut. Oh, this guy's definitely going to be in the rotation next year. But instead, 5 runs in the first inning, albeit all unearned, but still would have liked to see a much better response. Even if he gives up a couple other runs after that Neto error, that's one thing. But back-to-back hit by pitches, that's a concern. Completely losing all of his control other than the fastball, which they then feasted on. Bit concerning. When we come back from this first break, we'll talk about the rest of this start, because then he did settle in a scoreless second inning, a scoreless third. This guy ended up pitching 5 innings, so you got to give him some credit. That's where he was able to turn things around, and that's why I said it's chaotic and resilient. We'll talk about it after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by one of our favorite sponsors, and I think we can say Sam Aldegheri was kind of using Liquid IV, but yes, it is Liquid IV. Tear, pour, and live more. 1 stick of Liquid IV plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. If you somehow don't know what Liquid IV is by now, it is powered by LIV Hydroscience. It's an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. I didn't go to the gym today. I'm a little bit under the weather. It was also a rest day for me. No running. I ran 9 miles yesterday. No running, no gym, and yet I still use Liquid IV today. It's not just something you do when you exercise. It's always important to stay hydrated, but also with nutrients as well, right? It's not just about water. It's about everything else, especially in the summer when you're sweating and you're losing those valuable nutrients. Use Liquid IV to regain them all back. Highly recommend you try Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. I finally tried it myself, and boy, yes, it is gas. It is, or sorry if you don't know what gas means. Maybe I'm aging you guys out a little bit. That means it's really good, okay? It's really, really good. So no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Stay hydrated, Liquid IV. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson, and the Angels fall once again. 9-5 the final in the series opener at home against the Seattle Mariners. The Angels are now 25 games under 500 at 55-80. They need to win 8 more before they lose 20, or they will reach that dreaded 100-loss season. They're also now just 15 losses away from tying the worst season in Angels history, 16 losses from setting that record. So there's still a lot to play for a team that is 25 games under 500. And yet tonight, the focus, arguably, at least in my opinion, the opinion of many, was not on winning. It was on seeing something encouraging from Sam Aldegheri, the 8th overall prospect in the Angels farm system, the guy the Halos acquired from the Phillies at the trade deadline for Carlos Estevez. And we already talked about a crazy first inning where Aldegheri ends up giving up 5 runs, but they're all unearned thanks to a really costly 2-run error by Zach Neto on a line drive he simply should have caught. Then Aldegheri fell apart from there. He hits back-to-back batters, gives up a double, gives up a single, gives up 3 more runs after that Neto error. And so that's why I'm saying, even though Neto let him down and it should have been a scoreless first inning, he did not respond well at all. Now, from there on, he did respond decently well in the second and third innings, at least, and that's what we jump into right now. A 1-2-3 second inning from Aldegheri gets Cal Raleigh on a 5-pitch at bat where he wasn't really locating anything, but 3 runs swinging from Cal Raleigh bails him out there. Then Randy Arozarena comes up and swings at the first pitch, hit it really well, 100 mile an hour exit velo, but he does fly out. And then Jorge Polanco comes up. He hits one pretty hard as well, 352 feet to center field. At this point, you could tell the Mariners were sitting on fastballs because they knew Aldegheri had to throw them. And Aldegheri, unfortunately, does not have really the pitch repertoire I would like to see. He doesn't throw crazy hard. He's just throwing a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. It's very straight. It's four-seam, not throwing sinkers, not throwing much stuff in the dirt. Not what you want to see, honestly, in terms of a pitch repertoire. So when you don't have sort of that pitch repertoire that can bail you out, where you can just throw sinkers down the middle but throw them really hard, like a Ben Joyce, like a Jose Soriano, you got to be really good. And unfortunately, he's just not there yet. But he does get a 1-2-3 second inning, maybe due to some luck. And then he gets a 1-2-3 third as well. Same thing, just 2 pitches. Justin Turner swinging at a changeup, pops up. Then Dylan Moore gets a 2-2 changeup at the letters. Don't think Aldegheri meant to put that there, but he gets a pop-up there. And then Mitch Garver, 3 pitches, another changeup, probably higher than Aldegheri wants, and yet it's popped up once again. So 3 times in a row in the third inning, you get 3 pop-ups, and you're thinking, okay, this guy is going to settle in. But unfortunately, no, he does not, because in the 4th inning, first pitch fastball right down the middle, Victor Robles, who hit a base hit, an RBI single on a fastball up in his first at-bat, gets a fastball right down the middle in his second, first pitch swinging base hit. Then J.P. Crawford grounds out. You're able to get the lead runner at second. Crawford safe at first, but with Crawford on first, 1 out, Julio Rodriguez, who struck out looking in his first at-bat, well, he didn't waste any time. Or not his first, his second at-bat of the first inning. He didn't waste any time in the 4th. Same thing, a fastball up in the zone. They're sitting on your fastball, and it's not an electric fastball, just 92.9-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, and Rodriguez turns on it, 101.6 exit velo, hits it out to center field, 400 feet, and just like that, it's 7-2, the first earned runs of Aldegheri's career after giving up 5 unearned in the first. Just like that, it's 7-2. He's able to get out of it. There was another error by Zach Neto, which is crazy that there's multiple errors in the same game from Neto. But from there, Aldegheri is able to get out of the inning in the top of the 4th. But then in the top of the 5th, he comes in and has another chaotic inning. Leadoff single to Justin Turner. He gets a strikeout, but then he throws a wild pitch. Turner gets to second, and he's lucky to get more pop-ups on bad pitches after that. Mitch Garver flies out on a slider that's hung right down the middle, and then Victor Robles, changeup outside corner, a pretty good pitch, and he gets a flyout, really weak contact there. So he's able to get through the 4th inning after the 2-run shot. He's able to have a scoreless 5th, which is why I'm going to give him some credit, say he was resilient at times, but let's be honest, it's not like he really at any point looked like he was on his A game, his B+ game. At best, he had B- innings. I mean, like we said, the 2nd and 3rd innings, both times he goes 1-2-3, he's throwing pitches right down the middle, and it does catch him in the butt in the 4th inning with the home run from Julio Rodriguez, and it could have led to more in the 5th inning as well. The end of the day, the final stat line for Sam Aldegheri in his MLB debut, 5 innings, 6 hits, 7 runs, but only 2 earned. He had 2 walks, he hit 2 guys, he strikes out 3, and he gives up the 2-run home run to Julio Rodriguez. Somehow at the end of all of that, his ERA is at 3.6, which is pretty good for the Angels in his first start, but he does pick up the loss. The reason he picks up the loss is, well, the Angels, I mean, at the end of the day, he gave up 7 runs, but the Angels offense was able to respond a couple times, but not respond enough. It's really frustrating. We've been begging this team to score 5 runs all month. They finally do, but it comes in the game where they give up 9. In the bottom of the first, right after the 5-run disaster inning, the Angels respond right away, and you got to give them some credit. How many times has this team fallen behind early and shown no life offensively? Every game, right? Today, that didn't happen. Right away, leadoff home run from Taylor Ward, 3-1 pitch, gets a fastball, up and away, but right down there, right in the pipe, and he crushes it 380 feet to get things started. Then Neto gets hit by a pitch, steals 2 bases, and Nolan Schanuel is able to score him on a sac fly, and you're thinking, okay, 5-2, that's a solid first inning. I will take that any time. You fall behind 5-0, you instantly respond with 2, especially for this team. I was sitting there like, okay, let's see Aldegheri settle in. Let's come back in this game. Surely enough, Aldegheri does, but the offense is not able to do anything until Aldegheri gives up 2 more in the 4th. Then the Angels respond with 2 in the 5th, but at this point, you're down 7-2. I will give this team credit for showing life when There's plenty of times where they haven't. This time it's a Mickey Moniak home run, and boy, did he get all this one. I mean, a first pitch fastball up and in, and he destroys it off Kirby, who is a good pitcher, by the way. 108.4 exit velo. He hit it 433 feet, and then Drury goes back to back. I don't know what Brandon Drury was on today. He actually looked kind of competent at the plate. Really weird. Gets a 1-2 fastball up and away, and he does exactly what you want to do on that type of pitch. Drills it out to right center. Back-to-back homers. It goes from 7-2 to 7-4. You're thinking, wait a second. Then Joe Adell gets a single, 3 straight hits. The tying runs on deck. You're like, wait a second, but not able to do anything the rest of the fifth. 3 straight groundouts from Cavadas, Ward, and Neto. Neto with a really, really, really rough game. Not only those 2 costly errors, but 0 for 3 as well. Really rough to see from a guy who literally today on the radio broadcast, he's being voted the team MVP by fans, which is the right take, but certainly not a team MVP performance tonight. The Angels did put up another run in the 6th inning to keep fighting, and that's why I will give them some more credit. They kept fighting, which we have not seen from this team all year. Maybe they were inspired by Aldegheri showing some fight despite having a rough start, despite Zach Neto doing him dirty. Maybe the offense was inspired. A leadoff double from Shanuel in the bottom of the 6th. Rendon is able to advance Shanuel to third on a ground out, but then runner on third, 1 out, and O'Hoppe strikes out swinging. You got to make contact. You're lucky that run ends up scoring thanks to Brandon Drury later in the inning, but man, Logan O'Hoppe, make contact, man. They walk Mickey Moniak, really didn't pitch to him, honestly. A 5-pitch walk. They replaced Kirby, but Drury responds to the replacement and immediately gets a base hit on just the 2nd pitch of his at-bat to score Shanuel. It's 7-5, and I'm thinking there might be life. Joe Adell lines out, unfortunately, and from there, the Angels did about nothing. A 1-2-3 7th. An 8th inning that did have a Rendon hit by pitch and a Mickey Moniak single, but never really felt like they were threatening. Unfortunately, Drury wasn't able to come through in the bottom of the 8th with 2 on and 2 out, although he did hit one pretty well. And then a 1-2-3 9th inning sealed the Angels' fate. When we come back, we'll get to Gavin's good, bad, and ugly. I'll tell you a little bit more about Brandon Drury certainly being a good, which is very surprising. Mickey Moniak certainly as well. We'll get to Gavin's good, bad, and ugly. We'll read your comments, and we'll wrap this one up. I also have some personal news that we'll get to as well, because I know you guys are interested in that as well. And oh yeah, I guess we'll talk about Christian Moore, because a loss, a bad Aldegheri start wasn't enough. We also had to deal with a concerning Christian Moore injury, so we'll get to that as well after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, finally, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as four correct picks. That's right, you can turn $10 into 1,000. One Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September, too. That's right, only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. Bet on football, or don't bet, but make your picks on football, on baseball. Heck, WNBA still going on. Eventually, we'll have the NBA back. So get going with PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Angels fall 9-5. Angels fall to 25 games under 500. They're already at 80 losses, and there are still way too many games left. Gosh, that 100-loss season is really sneaking up, and it might happen, which is just so depressing. We're going to get into Gavin's good, bad, and ugly. We'll talk about Christian Moore and a concerning injury, and then we'll get to your comments. We'll keep this one quick, but a couple goods for sure. Brandon Drury, out of nowhere, goes 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He has the solo home run and a really impressive swing. He also has a clutch RBI single, but all of this raises his average to 159, raises his OPS to 461. It's been a brutal year, but I will give him and this whole lineup credit tonight for once. it's crazy how scoring 5 runs is like, I need to bow to this team. Like, that's a pretty average performance. But more than the 5 runs, it was the resilience, something we haven't seen from this lineup. Multiple times getting down early, scoring 2 runs right away after falling behind 5-0, scoring 2 runs again after falling behind 7-2, scoring another run to make it 7-4. This team almost came back, or excuse me, 7-5, but not able to go all the way there. But Drury gets credit, 2 for 4. Mickey Moniak, a great game, 2 for 3 with his solo home run. Obviously, Taylor Ward had his leadoff home run, but then he responded to that with an 0 for 4 after that. So that's certainly frustrating. But the goods, certainly Moniak, certainly Drury, and I'd say maybe Taylor Ward gets it just for immediately setting the tone of we're going to stay resilient in this one with that leadoff home run in the bottom of the first. But the bads, I don't know if I'm not going to give Aldegheri a bad. It's his debut. I'm not going to do that to him. I will maybe give a bad to Medeiros just because 1 run out of the bullpen still was not great. Same with Miller. He was not great. He only got 1 out. He walked a guy, gave up an earned run. So they'll both get bads. I'm going to go all the way to ugly for Zach Neto. And maybe that's me being a little harsh and because my expectations for Zach Neto are so high. But you have not 1, but 2 errors, including undoubtedly the biggest mistake of this game right away. That error that cost his team 5-0, cost Aldegheri a potentially strong debut, and really cost his team the game. So Zach Neto gets an ugly. He was also 0 for 3 tonight. Really disappointing. Anthony Rendon, we should just pencil him in for ugly every night. He goes 0 for 3 tonight. So disappointing for him as well. And then the ugly of all uglies, and it's starting to get really, really ugly for Logan O'Hoppe. They might need to sit this guy down for a week. The fall from grace for this guy is really rough to see. He just completely ran out of gas this year. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts again for Logan O'Hoppe. I mean, there was a time when this guy was hitting 270. The OPS was well over 800. We're talking about a great, great year for Logan O'Hoppe. He looked like he was on pace to have 25 or something home runs, maybe like 70 RBIs. But boy, oh boy, has he fallen apart in the most shocking fashion. This guy is hitting 0-4-3 in his last 7 games, 120 in his last 15 games. In his last 30 games, 153. He's got 49 strikeouts in his last 30 games, guys. 49 strikeouts. In his last 7, he has 13. He's striking out basically twice a game. It's really, really concerning. Only 3 home runs in his last 30. He's only drawn 8 walks in his last 30. It's really, really concerning for Logan O'Hoppe. I don't know what the heck has gone on. It's not like he's been hurt. Sure, it's hard as a catcher. You kind of deteriorate quicker than the average fielding player. But still, this is really, really concerning stuff for Logan O'Hoppe because the guy is hitting 103 in the month of August. 103 in the month of August. In the month of July, he was hitting 299, guys. 299. The slugging was 429. We were talking about him being the leader of this team, undoubtedly. In the month of June, he hit 324, guys. 324 in the month of June. 299 in the month of July. He's hitting 103 in the month of August with the month ending tomorrow. So really, really concerning. He's obviously the ugliest performance other than Zach Neto because 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts is about as bad as it gets. And he also did that 3 days ago on August 27th and 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So really, really concerned with Logan O'Hoppe. And I really think the same way there was a point in the season where Zach Neto was struggling mightily and Ron Washington finally gave him a day off. And then he responded and played well, and then he got moved into the 2-hole, and then he got really hot. Maybe O'Hoppe deserves more than a couple days off to try to eliminate whatever the heck he's going through right now. Other than that, real quick, we'll talk about Christian Moore. If you did not see in his game today on a little line drive, really like weak, broken bat line drive, over between the first and second base hole. He goes over to like lunge, half dive, and kind of right when the ball is going to hit his glove, his knee hits the ground, and it did not look good. He looked in a lot of pain. He was rolling around in the outfield while the play was going on when the ball was only like 5-10 feet away from him, when in reality, if he wasn't hurt, he would have popped back up, ran, and got the ball. But he was in a lot of pain. He couldn't really put weight on his leg as they took him off the field, and we really just have to cross our fingers and hope for the best with Christian Moore because, boy, has he been so impressive this minor stretch since he was drafted. Honestly, he has not had a rough go since he has been drafted. Some people clamoring to see him before the year ends, and the Angels kind of showing a commitment to the young guys calling up Aldegheri, calling up Caden Dana, having younger guys like Kavadas in the lineup basically every night. I don't think it's the craziest thing to think Christian Moore might have shown up at one point, but now I think this is more of a reminder. Let's just take it easy on all these guys. Real quick, we'll just scan if there's any comments. I'm seeing some Dodgers talk, which we'll ignore. There's a lot of talk about Christian Moore, which we already got to that. Angels win, just saying another loss, embarrassing. We are 4 games back of the A's. Yeah, it's crazy. No way you can say Ron Washington has done a good job when this is the worst Angels team in their history. No one's going to say Ron Washington has done a good job. The question is whether or not he's done a satisfactory job given the circumstances that are really bad circumstances, or if he has done a below expected job. And I'm still on the fence with that one. I think if he does get to 100 losses, yeah, you're right. There's no other way to put it than ridiculous. If it does get to 96 losses, the worst in our history, you still probably say, yeah, that's unacceptable. But we'll see. At the end of the day, now that we're having all these guys making MLB debuts and stuff, it's not like we're going really hard to win these games. So I don't know. We'll see. But shout out to Angels win. Shout out to Jeff as always. Anaheim Angel as well. He says, can't win with those 5 runs in a game when the other team scores 5 in 1 innings. At least the Bruins will win tomorrow. Well, perfect segue. Perfect segue, Anaheim Angel. I will make my quick announcements before we wrap this one up. Right here on this same Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, tomorrow night, the first ever Locked On UCLA postcast. UCLA football, the Deshaun Foster era, they will be taking on Hawaii. Games at 4:30, which means it'll end around 8, and I will be doing my postcast around when the game ends, around 7:45, around 8, whenever the game ends. So it's already scheduled on the channel. Go leave a like right now. Make sure you're hitting the bell, you're subscribed, so you'll be notified when I go live. It is going to be a good time. Trust me, I am as diehard UCLA as it gets. I just graduated 2 months ago, and I'm so fired up. So please join me on the UCLA postcast tomorrow night. There will still, as all goes to plan, there will still be an Angels postcast tomorrow night as well. The Angels game starts at 6:40. The UCLA game will end around 7:40. So I'm hoping I can catch innings 4 through 9 of the Angels game and then do the postcast for the Angels. Couple other quick things I will say. Today, I went through. You guys motivated me to do it. I did it. I created my own YouTube channel. That's right. Right now, the focus is just UCLA. There might be some Angels stuff later on. There might be some Rams stuff later on. But, of course, I'm doing Angels and Rams for Locked On as well. So I wanted to make my own YouTube channel for UCLA. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter, and there'll be all sorts of information on that. But, yes, please join me tomorrow for the UCLA postcast. And still, join me tomorrow much later in the night for the Angels postcast as we look to not start a new losing streak. Let's get a win tomorrow, because if we lose back-to-back games, then there's a lot of pressure on Caden Dana on the 1st of September to avoid a sweep in his MLB debut, and I don't want that pressure on him. We already saw what a little bit of pressure did to our other rookie making his debut on the mound tonight. But with all that being said, shout out to Angels win. He says, look what I've used the best. Shout out to Anthony Jimenez talking about Zach Neto and everything else. Shout out to Anaheim Angel, BC, Jeff, and anybody else, Nando390. Shout out to all of you in here. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know. Is Ron Washington at fault here for the recent stretch? Because it's been a really rough August. Or is it a matter of O'Hoppe underwhelming to the nth degree, Zach Neto falling off, a lot of unknowns pitching-wise? Let me know in the comments what you think. And then please join me tomorrow for both postcasts, and also on my channel, my new YouTube channel. I didn't mention it. I will be doing a live stream during the UCLA game. So not only will I be on after the game on this channel with the postcast, but during the game on my own YouTube channel, we'll be doing a watch along, come through the entire game. I'll be breaking it down. So with all that being said, enough promos, enough talk. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. I'll see you tomorrow for 2 postcasts and a live stream during the UCLA game, both on my channel and the Locked On Angels postcast, the Locked On UCLA postcast. Angels lose 9-5. Disappointing start from Sam Aldegheri, but it really wasn't his fault, and I'm going to stick with that. All right, I'm taking off. As always, even after a disappointing loss like tonight, go Angels, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a crazy but fun day. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.